West till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. One west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. They ain't scaring me. Rip the soul out of Pharisee. Speaking heresy, it get you fucked up apparently. It's like they daring me. I said chill, they ain't hearing me. They ain't listening. Every bar nitroglycerin. Hit your heart, bring it back to start, make you live again. Get them dividends, so we start getting ignorant. I be on that soldier shit. I told you shit phenomenal. Nobody a domino. So what you sucker trying to do? Rhyming comical. This is funny until I'm bombing you. Bring apocalypse to the pussy nigga to popping shit. Team of all-stars, I coach them up like a Popovich. Fuck the politics and the lobbyists and apologists. They vagina, so we gon' check them like gynecologists. It's kinda obvious how the situation is ominous. The way I rhyme it doesn't regurgitate for the audience. They start applauding this cause the competition is fraudulent. From the era where niggas smoke you up like a parliament. The flow been stupid, shit's gotten retarded since all the dominance. One west rising and prominent. Cause I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one I'm one west till they bury me. It's all applauding this cause the competition is fraudulent. From the era where niggas smoke you up like a parliament. Shit's gotten retarded. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. They want a nigga quiet, mute my maneuvers. But I ride like I got roof eyes for Uber. Rhymes hard like they been viewed by Medusa. 9 milli Luger, 17 in the Ruger. Only need a few, consider me your medulla. Obligata for the regatta niggas while they win every dollar. They rhyme down like a dollar. I'm one west till they bury me. I got roof eyes for Uber. Rhymes hard like they been viewed by Medusa. 9 milli Luger, 17 in the Ruger. Only need a few, consider me your medulla. You send me holler, a showstopper, then the opposite of titty bopper. But now I'm going up, I'm trying to pin me in my pocket. I put his teachers on the clock, modify the chopper. The score heavy, war ready, and that's for the mama. The marijuana say I got the loudest silence on it. When I'm a baller, ain't a rapper, do it like I do it. A lot of spitties and writers, but when they eat so, none of them can get to the fire around with me. And I had them niggas spin like a tire, down the deep. And I'm still dope as a piper. Every bar burn hard like a spoon with a lighter. Fuse with nighter, I'm winning, coming through with the title because you carry one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me. I be one west to the death till they bury me. I'm one west till they bury me.
For something authentic, came in the truth and bossed in it, made niggas recruit. Had to shed light on the false image, you became whole court. Now who the fuck was scrimmage? 2 words for subjects. What is good written? Don't affiliate with feminine symptoms. I know you feel me, nigga. This a death threat to hip hop. You don't stop that weak shit, I'ma mix your lean with some grimlock. When the last time you heard it this wrong? What I wish for's when the earth inherited by the piss full. We been to war, them the ones I'm taking risks for. Ain't got no pics or no cars to hold. Holy angels watch my steps and block down my soul. Can't let them leave my body cold. I know you feel me, nigga. Let the wicked weak and the meek prevail. God never been 50-50. I should now wake and sleep a cell. Let the righteous cry, silence the pretender. A rebel without a cause, as long as I remember. I'm taking the kingdom, the only thing on my agenda. Can't avoid me, nigga. Middle finger to the ones that try to destroy me. Revenge of beauty, I'm a beast. I told the bitch she can't eat unless she join me for dinner. My God ain't got no regard for a sinner. When power fall on them like timber. I know you feel me, nigga. In the eyes of terror, I stand still. Go to work for the colony and bring it back to the anthill. Plus everything I drop heavy as an anvil. Show you how to stand like a man in this damn field. I know you feel me, nigga. Fucking quality, it gotta be one man win and the rest lose. Waves devastating, I'm calculating my next move. You became a real nigga, seek refuge. Body shots for pause, that'll get you bruised. My niggas whole rank of check your low attitude. I came to fuck up your mood on your long holiday like I'm Mr. Scrooge. Resurrected from the grave, walking from the floor. Visions in my eyes, gripping the mic, screaming God bless the underdog down by the letter. And live by that protocol, walk by faith, not by sight. Ain't no hope for getting struggles. Like that, I'm a war resist, or get born into a world that never left. I will endure, election will be sure, correction will be swift. No Will Smith, but I am blessed. What else would you call? You're from the floor, visions in my eyes, gripping the mic. Street killer and deception. A leader got soldiers on post in every direction. Arms on like a German shepherd. Young and a restless, sweat honor like a diamond necklace. I know you feel me, nigga.
Purchase your tracks today.
If only know what is it?
All right. Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Brakdam to all the brothers, Yahweh Shema Dam Bashim Yahushai to all the sisters, priest and officer of 500 RY. All right. Today is the Pittsburgh and Trenton history class, the Thursday history class. Today I'm going to be going into the history of the pagan roots of Christmas. All right. How our people are out here celebrating Christmas and not even knowing where it comes from, how it got started, but they continue to lie. You understand? They understand and realize that Santa Claus ain't true. They know Christ wasn't born on the 25th. All right. They know all these things to be a lie, but yet they still go and do it anyways. Right? They still go and celebrate these things and tell their children lies, even though they know that it's a bold-faced lie. Okay. So, and we can thank the Christian church. Okay. We can thank the Christian church for that. And our people need to understand that the scripture says, study to show thyself approved, man. Like, we should understand that the Lord is not with these other holidays that we make up. All right. So let's get into it. The history about it, right? I'm going to first start off with this scripture, Hosea 4:6. All right, let's go to Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6. Hosea 4:6 says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. Like, we are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, and it's because we reject knowledge. You understand? When somebody's coming at you with the truth, you know, you should be willing to hear that truth out. You understand? When you can't defeat the knowledge that the priest and prophets is bringing to you, then it's truth. You understand? It's truth, and you want to reject this knowledge. You want to reject the truth because you just want to live in the lie. Okay. So our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. That lack of knowledge is understanding where these customs that you celebrate, these customs and traditions that you do, that you hold on to, where are they coming from? Where are they coming from? You don't have no knowledge. And when you get confronted with the knowledge, with the truth about these customs, you want to reject that knowledge. You understand? You want to reject it. So the Lord said he will reject you. It says, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. I will also forget thee. What was the law? What was the law he gave us, right? Let's go to Exodus 23 and verse 24. He says, because you reject these laws and you reject the knowledge, right? He's going to reject you and he will forget your children. Exodus 23 and verse 24. It says, thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but thou shalt utterly throw them, overthrow them, and quite break down their images. You understand? This is what we were supposed to do, right? Not bow down to what pagan things that they was doing, and not do after their works, but utterly destroy them. You understand? This is what we should have done as people, but we chose to go after them, right? We chose to go and love everybody on the planet, and serve their gods and go after their gods, and wanted to do after them. All right. So that's what happened right there. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 12. Deuteronomy chapter 12 and verse 30. It says, take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them. That's a snare. You understand? That's a trap to go and follow after them. It says, after that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods. You're not supposed to go and see how they're doing with their gods, and what do they do with their gods. You understand? It says, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? And that's what we as people want to do, right? We have the one true living God, the God of Israel. But the God that brought us up out of Egypt, you understand? The one who led us in the wilderness, a pillar of fire by night and a pillar of smoke by day. You understand? And we wanted to go inquire about other gods. We wanted to go inquire about gods that like the scripture says, they have a mouth but can't eat, can't speak. You understand? They can't do nothing for you. They're not real. They're not living gods. You understand? They're not real gods. All right. So it says, take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them, after that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their God? You need to worry about, how do you serve your God? How do you serve the God of Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian people? You understand? That's what you need to ask yourself. Okay? That's what you need to ask yourself. Salakia. So it says, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so, I do likewise. Like, you shouldn't be over there going after their pagan customs and saying, I'm gonna do that too. But that's what we wanted to do as a people. We saw people, celebrating these pagan customs like Christmas, which has its pagan roots, which I'm gonna go into right now. You understand? Its pagan roots come from the worship of Nimrod. You understand? The worship of Nimrod. Okay. So I'm gonna go into that in a minute, but we shouldn't go after that. We shouldn't look after that, right? To see how we can do that as well. When we have our true living God to serve, and he tells us how to serve him. But we want to go and look after how the pagans do it, how the heathens do it. You understand? So with that being said, I'm gonna go into this article. All right. It's the article by Dr. Daniel Woodhead, Theology and Perspective. It says Nimrod, the founder of the occult and Babylon. So we understand, the story in the Bible, you know what I'm saying? Now let's read. All right. It says the Bible develops a very prominent and notorious character named Nimrod. He was the sixth son born of Cush, which will make him an African. You understand? It says his name in Hebrew means to rebel. Why? Because he wanted the whole world to rebel against God. You understand? It says he was the founder of Babylon and Assyria. He is mentioned in Chronicles 1 and 10, Micah 5 and 6, and in Genesis 10. The Hebrew text states that he was a mighty hunter before the Most High. This is indicative and his antagonism and opposition to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to go against the Most High God. You understand? He wanted to have people having their own free will and doing after their own lust, not serving the Most High God. You know what I'm saying? It says he was wicked and made the whole world rebel through the building of the Tower of Babel. He was the first to establish kingdoms. This happened in two stages. The first is Shinar, which included Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh. The second kingdom is Assyria, called the land of Nimrod in Micah 5 and 6. After the language was separated and confused by by God, it drove him to Assyria from Babylon. The two have been intertwined since then. So let's go to the story in the Bible, right? Of the Tower of Babylon. Like I said, here it's showing you in the Bible, right? We don't need no outside source. You understand? But because our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, sometimes we have to bring out that outside source. You understand? So they can hear a second perspective. So let's go to Genesis, right? Chapter 11 and verse 1. All right, Genesis 11 and 1. Genesis 11 and 1, it says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Okay, everybody spoke Hebrew. Okay, on the earth, everybody spoke Hebrew. You understand? Hebrew was the first language. It says, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and that they dwelt there. That's what the article was talking about. You understand? It says, and they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. It says, verse 4, and they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto the heaven. Why? Because they wanted to rebel against God. They wanted to fight against God. It says that and let us make us a name. They wanted to make themselves a name instead of serving the one true living God. They wanted to be the gods. They wanted to make themselves known on the earth. They wanted to be great. You understand? It says, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Now that's heavy because they wanted to stick together. You understand? But the commandment from the Lord was what? Was to be fruitful and multiply and subdue the earth. Means to spread out, to go out. You understand? That's what the Lord wanted. The Lord wanted everybody to separate, go out, be fruitful and multiply, go out and subdue the earth. You understand? What they wanted to do was unify. They wanted to all come together. You understand? Under in one city, right? The city of Babel. All right, let's read on. It says, "Lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one." You see that? The people is one. He said, "Behold, the people is one." Now, here's a cut to all you Christians out there, man. If that's what the Lord wanted, right? Because y'all all like to say we're all one human race. We're all one human race. We should all come together in unity and join hand in hand. This is what's going on right here in Babel, right? In Babylon. You understand? This is what was happening. This is what they was doing as people. They was coming together. They didn't want to do what the Lord told them to do, which was go out, subdue the earth, spread out, be fruitful and multiply. You understand? They wanted to all come together and stay together, make a name for themselves, and rebel against the Most High God. That's what they wanted. So it says, verse 6, "And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language." So if that was his whole plan, was making all nations come together as one human race in unity and equality and unification, you understand? If that's what he wanted, he would have been happy with what he saw, because they was all coming together, they was all working together, they was all being, unified in one cause. They was all being unified in one cause, but that's not what he wanted. So this is what happened. It said, "And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do." It says, verse 7, "Go to, let us go down." So he's saying to the angels, right? Let y'all go down. All right. He's saying, "And there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." So he separated them. He confused their language, so where they wouldn't understand each other no more. So you gotta start to think, like I said, if that's what God wanted, was all of us to come together and be in unification, right? Then he would have left that alone. But instead, what he did was he separated them and confused their language where they couldn't understand each other no more. Now, where do you see the spirit of that happening? You see that same spirit here in America, where they all like to say, "Hey, you're in America, speak English." You understand? Speak English. They always telling my people that, speak English, speak English. You understand? That's what they want to do. They all want to come together in this one melting pot here in the new Babylon, right? The daughter of Babylon here in America. They want to all come together in that same spirit, and and in that same spirit have the same language, the one language, and they want to rebel against the Most High God. You see it happening every day. Every day, whatever the Lord put forth as good, they call it to be bad. You understand? They say pork is the other meat. They say Christmas is good, right? It's for the kids. They say Thanksgiving is good. It's for the kids. It's for the family unification, where we all come together. You understand? But that's not what the Lord wanted right here. He didn't want us all to come together. He wanted us separate, just like in Deuteronomy 7:6 said. He said, "You are holy." Leviticus 20:26 says, "You are severed from other people." But we all wanted to come together right here in Babel, right? We all wanted to come together in unification. And in that same spirit, we wanted to fight and rebel against God. And that's what America is all about. That's what America is all about. It's all about the rebellion against God, against the Most High God, and how they can try and fight against him. You understand? Spiritually, and when the angels do come, they're gonna physically try and fight against him. But this is all warfare right here. The Lord didn't want his holy people, especially, to come together with no other nation. You understand? I'm gonna read on. Verse 7, it says, "Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." Verse 8, "So the Most High scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of the earth, and they left off to build the city. You see that? That's what the Lord wanted. Like he said in Genesis, he said, be fruitful and multiply and subdue the earth. You understand? He didn't want everybody coming together. That's because the Lord loves segregation. Like he said in Leviticus 20 and 26, I have severed you from other people. That's segregation. By definition, that's segregation. When you're cut off from other people, from the other nations of people, you are segregated from them. That's segregation by definition. You understand? When Noah had Ham, Shem, and Japheth come off the boat, off the ark, right? He separated the nations into three separate nations of people, which means they were no longer one people. They were now separate nations from these three sons. You understand? The Lord loves separatism. He loves segregation. He didn't want us unifying. Like I said, if that's what he wanted here in Babylon, right, he would have left us alone. He would have left us alone and been happy with what we're doing. He would have said, oh, look at my people. They're all coming together as one. They're being holy and you know, whatever the Christian church likes to say, being unified as one people. That's not what the Lord wanted, though. He wanted everybody to be segregated. You understand? even during the flood, because the sons of God, which were the sons of Adam, right? They were taking on women of men. That's why the Lord even sent the flood, because of wicked men, because they wanted to integrate. They want to have interracial marriage and have integration. You understand? Even you should even see it from the so-called civil rights movement, when Martin Luther King wanted to integrate everybody. You understand? What came of that? Only our destruction, our people's destruction. Even Martin Luther King was part of that destruction. You understand? He was murdered. You understand? Every time integration comes into play here on this earth, it only leads to destruction and death for our people. Only. You understand? When Cesar Chavez tried to, unify, what happened there? Our people got destroyed again. You understand? So let's go back to the article. All right. Let's go back to the article. I'm going to read it for you. All right. So it says, now it was Nimrod who excited them to such an affront and contempt of God. It was him. He was over there preaching unification and saying we don't need to listen to the Most High God. You know, telling the Israelites that well, not the Israelites, but that they don't need to listen to the Most High God. You understand that they should be, just doing what they wanted to do because they had free will. They were saying the same thing that goes on here in America. You understand? It says, now it was Nimrod who excited them to such an affront and contempt of God. He was the grandson of Ham, the son of Noah. So he was a Hamite. You understand? It says he was a bold man and of great strength of hand. He persuaded them not to ascribe to God as if was through his means they were happy, but to believe that it was their own courage which procured that happiness. So you see, it was his agenda. It was his agenda, but he was making it seem like they were empowered by this. You understand? Empowered. And that's the same spirit here in America. They have the women's empowerment. They have the homosexual empowerment, the your own free will empowerment. That's what they try and tell you, just like he was telling them, making you feel like you're courageous in embracing this, but it's really an agenda that he had. You understand? It's really an agenda he had. Okay, so let's read on. It says he also gradually changed the government into tyranny, seeing no other way of turning men from the fear of the most of God. You understand? Because that's what it's all about. It's about fearing the Lord. When you don't have no more fear for the Lord, like he said, you try and you try and encourage the people to empower themselves instead of fearing the Lord. That's your Christian church right there. That's America in a nutshell right there. Is don't fear the Lord. That's what they love to say here in America. The Christians, they love to say he's gonna love you anyways. Do what you want to do. Live your life, right? You only get one life. Live your life. Be successful. Do this, do that. Empower yourself. That's what the whole spirit is about right here. So reading on. It says, seeing no other way of turning men from the fear of God, because that's the way to make people rebel against something, is to make them not afraid of it. Okay. And that's what he was doing. He was doing to the people to turn against God. It says, but to bring them into constant dependence of his power. Damn, what is that? What is that? Like, you are in constant dependence on this oppressor's power, right? By his government, by his oppression over you, the economics, and like it says, we will have a want for all things from him. You understand? That's the same thing right here. You are dependent on his power. So now what? What is that? What is that? What does that lead to? That leads to you looking at him as the God instead of the Most High as the God. You understand? Because you are dependent on him. What you get comes from him. So he now becomes your God. You understand? It says, but to bring them into constant dependence on his power. All right. It says the Tower of Babel was in essence an attempt to have their own way apart from God. You see that? That's the whole point of Babylon. That's the whole point of America, is to have their own thing aside from God, to rebel against God, and to even fight against him. Like I said, spiritually, and when he sends Christ and the angels to fight against him physically. Okay. What do you think they're building the Space Force for? What do you think they have these powerful militaries for? To turn them on Christ when he comes. You understand? It says the Tower of Babel was in essence an attempt to have their own way apart from God. Humans were commanded to be fruitful and fill the earth. That's what the Lord told us to do. Be fruitful and fill the earth, not come together in one city and unify. You understand? It says, instead, they attempted to settle down in one location and establish a world state to offset the divine rule, to rebel against God. That's what that is. They built the city of Babel. They came together in unification, just like here in America, right? Unification. And they are rebellious against the Most High God. You understand? We're not all supposed to be one together. We are not supposed to be all trying to live happily ever after, going hand in hand together. And matter of fact, like I always like to say, these people never wanted us. You understand? They never wanted to integrate. Like I like to say this a lot because it's so true. It's so true. These people never wanted to integrate with you, with me, none of us. They never wanted to. In the civil rights movement and with Martin Luther King, they had to force them to integrate. They had to force them to start letting you ride on the bus. They had to force them to start letting you eat in their establishments and drinking from their water fountains and going to school with them. They had to force them into it. It was us that wanted to go and integrate with them. Do you think their love for you changed after that? Hasn't the Trump being in presidency showed you their true colors, that they still to this day hate you? They still hate you. You understand? They still hate me. They still hate you. All right. Reading on. It says, instead, they attempted to settle down in one location and establish a world state to offset the divine rule. The tower was meant to be a rebellious attempt to break from divine rule that they did not wish to obey God. That's the whole point. That's what happened. is that they didn't want to do what God said. They didn't want to do what God said. All right, it says tradition suggests that Nimrod died a violent death. One tradition says that a wild animal killed him. Another says that Shem killed him because he had led the people into the worship of Baal. According to the ancient Egyptian and Babylonian tradition, his mother was Semiramis. Sometimes Semiramis is referred to as the mother of Nimrod, and sometimes as his wife, because that's what was going on. It was his wife and his mother, right? He married his mother. You understand? They were committing incest, and we see that we're gonna see going on why we see this in all cultures, in Egyptian culture, right, in Persian and Greek culture. We see this in all cultures, and this is why. We're gonna read on. Salakia. Where was I? Right. And sometimes as his wife, leading to the belief that Nimrod married his mother. Also, according to these traditions, Semiramis, who rose to greatness because of her son, was presented with a difficulty when her son died. Right? Why? Because now all the people that were following him, she had to figure out how to keep them in line. You understand? It says, so instead, she pronounced him to be a god. She pronounced him to be a god. You understand? Let's read on. So that she herself would become a goddess. Now, what does that sound like? What does that sound like? Right? Where you have a god who is the son as well from the mother that got pregnant by him. That's what the so-called church calls the Trinity. You understand? Where God came and impregnated the mother with himself, and now she's his mother, and it's crazy. All right, that's what's going on here. All right, let's read on. So that she herself would become a goddess. One story says that after Nimrod was killed, Semiramis claimed that an evergreen tree, all right, an evergreen tree, the kind of tree you Christians have in your house right now today, right, putting lights and balls on it. We're going to get to that in a minute. It says an evergreen tree sprouted from a tree stump, which she said indicated the entry of new life into the deceased Nimrod, that he incarnated into this tree. You understand? That he incarnated into this tree, which it says, which she said indicated the entry of new life into the deceased Nimrod. Every year on the anniversary of Nimrod's birth, December 25th, they would leave gifts at this evergreen tree. You understand? And General Muhammad brought it out where they would be in fear of this Christmas tree. You understand? Of this tree, right? Because they thought it was Nimrod, and that he would come to life. The tree would come to life at night and come and kill them if they didn't come bringing those gifts. So that's where your tree and your gifts under the tree tradition comes from. As Christianity, as Christians, you understand? Y'all have that tree on December 25th, right? Which is the celebration of Nimrod's birthday. You understand? As him as a God, which we read earlier, there should be no other God before the Most High God. You should not put, like the scripture says as well, worship God and no one else with all your heart and soul, and put no other God before him. You understand? But our people wanted to seek how they served their gods, how the heathens served their gods. And the way they did it was by putting gifts under this evergreen tree. So our people went and did it. You understand? So like, anyways, where was I? It says, even though Semiramis claimed to be a virgin, the virgin birth, right? The virgin birth, right there, the virgin birth, where they said that a so-called God came, impregnated this so-called virgin, and then out came the son, right? So it says, even though Semiramis claimed to be a virgin, she had another son named Tammuz, who she said was the reincarnation of Nimrod, who was the reincarnation of Nimrod. So there you get that whole virgin birth thing. You understand? That's where that pagan root comes from, of the virgin birth and the whole the mother of God thing. You understand? It says, which my people, the Israelites, man, they're so heavy into that Virgin Mary, and the, you know, the Virgin is a heavy thing for them, right? If they only knew what they was doing, if they only knew, that's why it says my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, that we read earlier. Because if they only knew that it's not even talking about Christ, it's not even talking about, you know, the Most High God. This is the worship of Nimrod and his mother and his brother. You understand? It says, who she said was the reincarnation of Nimrod. She became known as the Virgin Mother. Didn't we just say that? The Virgin Mary? Now you're going to see where this carries on through time. All right? Bear with me 1 second. All right. It says, she became known as the Virgin Mother, Holy Mother. All right. That's where you get Holy Mary, Mother of God. That's where it comes from these pagan, these heathens, man, these Africans. You understand? It says, and the Queen of Heaven. It says, and was symbolized, and was symbolized by the moon, right? That's okay. This is where it's going to start to come into other kinds of worship that they did for them. You understand? It says, and was symbolized by the moon. So began the worship of Semiramis and the child God, right? This is where the whole the woman is God concept comes from, right? This is why even in the Catholic Church they put the so-called Mother Mary, right, the Virgin Mary, on a higher pedestal than even God Himself. They call her the Mother of God, right? They pray to her instead of praying to God. Okay, it's because of this. It's because they it says, so began the worship of Semiramis and the child God, which we see, right? We see the Virgin Mary with the baby Jesus, right? He's a baby, but she's being worshipped. You understand? It says, child God and the whole paraphernalia of the Babylonian religious system. So this is where that paganism started from. The whole Christmas tree, bringing gifts under the Christmas tree, because they thought that Nimrod's spirit was in that Christmas, that evergreen tree. So they would bring gifts to him, and if they didn't, they would send troops to go murder them. And then the what is it called, the folklore, I guess, is that they would spread the rumor that the tree would come to life and come kill them. You understand? So real quick, let's get a scripture. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 1. All right, Jeremiah 10 and verse 1. Jeremiah 10 and 1 says, hear ye the word which the Most High speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. It says, thus saith the Most High, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Right? They would read the zodiac signs and you know the winter solstice, and they would be in fear of these things, of what would happen. You know, the winter solstice, the sun would go down earlier, right? And all these things. Hold on 1 second. Right, they would be in fear of like the winter solstice, and they would read the zodiac signs and say, well, if you're born on this time and this day at this minute, that this is going to happen. And the Lord is saying, don't worry about that. Don't do like them. Don't learn the way of the heathen. Right, be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. It says, for the heathen are dismayed at them, for the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest. So this is what they started to do in remember in celebration and tradition of the celebration of that tree of Nimrod, bringing gifts. So now, right, to have it on their own, right, they would go in their own house, they would cut down a tree, they would bring that tree in their house. You understand? Let's read on. It says, for the customs of the people are vain, meaning worthless. Vanity is worthless. Go look it up. Go Google it. Vanity means worthless. It says, for the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth the tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with an axe. So he'll go cut the tree out of it, right? Like you see. It says, verse 4, they deck it with silver and gold, right? That's what they would do. Even to this day, you do that. And you sing songs about it, right? Deck the halls with whatever. And you sing songs like silver and gold, right? Silver and gold. That's a so-called Christmas song, silver and gold. And that's right here in the Bible, man, where it's telling you not to do. Don't do that. You understand? It says they deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, right? That's just like you do in your house, man. You put that tree and you fasten it with nails and hammers. Why? So it don't move. Like it's going to say here. It says that it moved not, right? So you would come, you would bring gifts underneath that tree because you were in fear of Nimrod being that tree, that he would come to life and kill you. So you would go and keep that tradition of that pagan tradition where you would come and you would bring them gifts under that tree. You would bring that tree in your house, give the tree gifts, right? And you would have a feast and all that. Salakia. Hey, shalom to the Lord in Christ. Also, like I said, we're going to Vegas. Yeah, come. Come. Shalom, Lord Christ. I texted him, but he didn't answer back yet. Okay, come. Shalom, Lord Christ. All right, Salakia. All right, where was I? It says they fasten it with nails and with hammers that it moved not, right? Because they were in fear that tree was killing them, right? That they would come if they never offered it gifts, and it started to become a tradition. You understand? It says they are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. It says they must need be born because they cannot go. Somebody needs to carry that tree because it's not even real. It's just a tree. You understand? It's nothing. Somebody needs to actually carry that tree into the house. It can't walk itself because this is a false god. It's a false idol. And the Lord said that we shouldn't take up any idols, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy 4 and verse 28. Deuteronomy 4 and 28 says, and there ye shall serve gods the works of men's hands, right? Like this Christmas tree, right? This is what we would try and do. It says wood and stone. Like you would bring that wooden tree, right? And that's a manifold. It's a double fold term because you now worship the cross and you worship the tree. You understand? This is what our people have come to. It says wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. But you go and you sing in front of the tree. You have your Christmas carols in front of the tree, right? And it can't see what you're doing. It can't hear what you're doing, right? And you bring it gifts, and then you leave out cookies and milk for some fake jolly fat white man in a red costume to come down your chimney and eat, which is fake. You understand? They can't eat, just like it says here. It says, which neither eat, it's like, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. You understand? There's nothing eating them cookies but the children's parents. And then they go and lie and say this man came down the chimney and ate them cookies. You understand? And they say that he brought the gifts, but not even knowing that they're worshiping the God, a so-called God by the name of Nimrod and his mother and his brother, which are uh, commit incest. He was sleeping with his own mother. You understand? He was sleeping with his own mother, and you worshiped him. You worship him every year. You understand? So let's drop that. Let's go to Leviticus 26:1. Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 1. It says, it says, ye shall make you no idols nor graven image, neither rear you up a standing image. And that's what y'all do in your house, man. You go put that tree in there. You go put the Virgin Mary, a statue of them, and you go, you put these images that these standing up images in your house when the Lord said, don't do that. Don't do that. And especially it's something that people worship as gods, which are false gods, which you should not be doing. It says, ye shall make you no idols, nor graven image, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall ye set up any image of stone in your land to bow down unto it, for I am the Lord your God. But you, especially my people, the Israelites, man, they go and they bow down to the Virgin Mary, which is Nimrod's mother, right? Just watered down, just down through the times, through the ages. And they worship her, the Holy Mary, the Mother of God. They go and worship and pray to her, right? Pray to her. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that Mary is the truth, the light, and the way. You understand? You shouldn't be praying in her name. You shouldn't be praying to her, right? Only the person the only deity, the only God you should be praying to is the Most High God, right? And it's in the name of Christ because he was for the reason that he gave up his life. He is now the mediator for us. So he gives our prayers to the Most High, right? He gives our prayers to the Most High because we was cut off from him for doing stuff like this, for celebrating Christmas and putting up that Christmas tree and celebrating this wood and stone and putting up images and celebrating other gods, man. We was cut off. So for that cause, Christ came down because for that cause, we deserve death. So for that cause, Christ came down in true brotherhood and gave up his perfect life and in return for ours to have redemption for ours, that we can die and become a new person. You understand? To become that new person that never celebrated Christmas before, that never bowed down to Mary and Nimrod and this Christmas tree and Santa Claus and the Easter bunnies. You understand? We was never that person no more because we died with Christ. You understand? And he gave us that chance as a true brother, came down and died for us in our place. And what are you going to do? You're going to go slap him in the face by going right back out, right? Saying, I changed. That's what all you silly Christians do when y'all go, Catholics, right? When y'all go into that confession room, say, "Oh, I'm sorry for this, and I did this. I'm confessing my sins," and blah blah blah. And then you go put the holy water on your forehead, and then you walk out the damn church and you go and do the same damn thing again. You go and celebrate Christmas again, Easter again, when you know it's a lie. You go and lie to your children again when telling them that Santa Claus is real and that he's watching you. He's watching you what you do when it's a lie. You understand? You're lying to your children. All right. So let's get back to it. Let's go back to it. All right. I'm gonna go back to the article. Salakia. It says, and was symbolized by the moon, so began the worship of Semiramis and the child god, and the whole paraphernalia of the Babylonian religious system. From various ancient sources, it seems that Nimrod, wife and mother, Semiramis, was high priestess of the Babel religion and the founder of all mysterious religions, as well as goddesses. You see that? That's where the whole thing of the black woman is God thing came from, right there. You understand? From Babylon. You understand? That's where, and you, right, who are pro Egyptian, pro Africa, saying that the black woman is God, what you're doing is bowing down to them, to you know, what's the word again? Where, you know, they're having sex with his mom. You understand? He's having sex with him. That's what you're bowing down to, him and her. You understand? It says, after the tower was destroyed and the multiplicity of languages developed, she was worshipped as a goddess under many different names. Now listen closely. It says she became Ishtar of Syria, Astar of Phoenicia, Isis of Egypt. Now there's your Egyptian, right? Isis of Egypt, Aphrodite of Greece, and Venus of Rome. So these pagan customs start to build off of this one pagan custom, right? They take that custom and they spread out into the land because the Lord spread them out. You understand? And they remember this custom, and they go and put their own twist on it. They go and put their own twist on it. It says for the Egyptians, they had Isis and Horus. You understand? For Greece, they had Aphrodite and I don't know. It says in Rome, Venus. You understand? Ishtar for Syria, right? So they took that custom with them. As they started to spread out in the earth, they took that heathen custom with them. You understand? So that's where all these customs come from. That's where they all come from. They all stem from this worship right here of Nimrod and his mother, right? It says, in each case, the deity of sexual love and fertility, right? What you are now worshiping, right? I think that's the one of Ishtar, if I'm not mistaken, the one you celebrate now as Easter. You now celebrate that God, the God of sexual love and fertility. That's why you have the bunny rabbits laying eggs, because bunnies are synonymous with sex. You know, being fertile. You know what I'm saying? So that's where that comes in. That worship comes in right here. It says, in each case, the deity of sexual love and fertility. When she was being sexual, it was with her son. You understand? With her flesh and blood son. Okay, and you now celebrate that in your Easter bunny hunts. Okay, you now celebrate them with Christmas and with Easter. Okay, it says her son Tammuz also came to be deified under various names and was the consort of Ishtar and god of the underworld. It says, according to the cult of Ishtar, Tammuz was conceived by a sunbeam. All right, now listen closely. This is where this starts to get a little heavy. It says, According to the cult of Ishtar, Tammuz was conceived. So this is Nimrod's brother. You understand? This is Nimrod's brother. It says was conceived by a sunbeam, a beam of light. You understand? That's what do you see when you have what do you see in those paintings, right? In those paintings by Leonardo da Vinci, where you have the Virgin Mary, and then a beam is coming down, a beam of sun is coming down on her, and she's pregnant. That's this right here. That's what this is talking about right here. An ancient pagan custom passed down through time. Right here. It says Tammuz was conceived by a sunbeam, a counterfeit version of Jesus, virgin birth. Right there. You understand? That's what that tradition comes from, of the whole virgin birth concept is that. Okay, it says Tammuz corresponded to Baal in Phoenicia, Osiris in Egypt, Eros in Greece. So here you go. This is where he starts to be worshipped as a deity as well. It says Baal in Phoenicia. It says Osiris in Egypt, right? Where like you have your Egyptian Osiris. That's why there's so much sexual, what's the word? Deviancy in Egypt, because it all stems from them. They was sleeping with their mother. You understand? And probably doing worse. I'm sure of it. It says Eros in Greece and Cupid in Rome. Your Valentine's Day, the whole Cupid concept is him. Is that fertility goddess, which is his mother, and him being seen as Cupid, you know, the little white naked angel that's shooting a arrow for so-called love. He was banging his mother. You understand? His mother. And that's what you're out there celebrating, man. That's why it says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because our people doing these things is disgusting. You understand? It says, in every case, the worship of those gods and goddesses was associated with sexual immorality. Sexual immorality. That's the whole thing. And you see that same spirit here in America. That's why this is known as the daughter of Babylon, because this is the same thing as Babylon, where you can have all this sexual immorality. You can go and find somebody on what's the holiday, Valentine's Day, and go sleep with them and then leave them, and you have all these abominable things that's going on, because they are the same thing as Babylon. You understand? They taken all those customs and brought them here. You understand? So it says the worship of those gods and goddesses was associated with sexual immorality. The celebration of Lent, which has no basis in scripture, but rather developed. Now, here's for all you Catholics, man. I don't know if Christians do it as well, but I know Catholics do this. It says the celebration of Lent, which has no basis in scripture, but rather developed from the pagan celebration of Samaris, Nimrod's mother. It says mourning for 40 days over the death of Tammuz, her sexual lover, which was her other son. She had sex with both of her sons, man. Like, that's disgusting. And now she's mourning her sexual lover, which was her son Tammuz. All right. It says before his alleged resurrection, right? It says another of Satan's mythical counterfeits. Whether these traditions have any basis in fact or not is irrelevant. This is because they embodied the occult and were followed in ancient Israel, and still today. Still today. This is what our people was doing in ancient Israel, and still today. Keeping these pagan customs, man. Still to this day, you do it. Salagia. All right. So I'm going to go to the Bible now real quick. I'm going to come back. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 8 and verse 12. Ezekiel chapter 8 and verse 12. It says, Then said he unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancient of the house of Israel do in the dark? Every man in the chambers of his imaginary. For they say the Most High seeth not. The Lord hath forsaken the earth. So this is what they're saying. It's the same rebellious spirit that they was in, the same rebellious spirit that you are in today. It says, He said unto me, Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. You understand? This is this is that custom, what was it called? Lent, right? Where they're crying and lamenting for Tammuz, which was an African who was made and to look as a god. Really, he was just a guy who was having sex with his mother. You understand? So let's go back to the article. I'm gonna go back to the article and I'm gonna read it for you. It says Ezekiel is communing with the Lord in a vision, and the Lord shows him these things. The Babylonians took Ezekiel to Babylon in the second invasion of Nebuchadnezzar. Subsequent to that, there was an additional invasion in 586 BC, sometime after the second invasion and before the third invasion. The Lord showed Ezekiel the extent of the apostasy the Jews back in Jerusalem had fallen into, because they was doing these things, man. They was serving these gods, you understand, which were not gods, which really were just regular people who were in rulership, who made themselves into so-called gods, right? By telling lies and by the power that they had. Like I said, that they relied on the power of them, right? Just like you're doing today. And this is exactly what's happening today, is that these oppressors that are over us has made themselves the God. They put their picture, like it says, they paint the likeness of themselves, right? They paint themselves as Christ, as God, as the angels, and then they make you rely on their power, their economic system. They make you rely on their government. You understand? They make you rely on their power, on their military, and then you start to worship them as the God. That's why every Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian person has the white Jesus on the wall. You understand? The Virgin Mary. Like, I could go into my relative's house and they are filled with candles and Virgin Marys and Jesus pieces all over the place. You understand? It's because they are relying now and looking to them. And then when you tell them that they are really the devil that the Bible speaks of, then they get mad because they look at these people as they are the gods. You understand? It says, after the decline of Babylon, their priests fled. So this is the priest of Babylon. You understand? Fled to Egypt. They went to Egypt, man. These these Hamites, right, which are the priest of Egypt, priest of Babylon, right, fled into Egypt. All right. It says, and transported their religion with them. There, the people worship Isis and her son Osiris, which was just Nimrod and what's her name? It's hard to say her name. Salakia. Semiramis, right? Which was just them, just reinvented. You understand? Put another name on them, but the same customs. You understand? This is what happened there in Egypt. Now, all you Egyptologists go out there and you worship these people when you are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. And that's why it says that it showed Ezekiel what the abominable things we was doing, and we still do to this day. We worship those people. It's the same three people. Osiris is supposed to be Tammuz, right? You got Horus, who's supposed to be Nimrod, and then you have what's her name? Isis, who is supposed to be Semiramis, the mother of Nimrod, man. They took that into Egypt. And now our people are still worshiping to this day. And that's why they say the black woman is God. You understand? That's why they say things like this. It's because the woman was glorified as goddess. You understand? It says, let me see. Otherwise known as Horus, the same mother and child deities appeared in Greece, and Ceres, the great mother with the babe at her breast. So it's the same thing. It's just like I said, they all came from Babylon, right? They was all coming together in unification. When the Lord split them up, they still had those customs. So when they spread out, they went to Egypt, they went to Greece, they went to Assyria, and they took those customs with them. That's why you have that custom in almost every religion, every place on earth, is because they took that custom of Samaris and her two sons, where they were having sex and putting themselves as gods. This is where that comes from. All right, it says, with the babe at her breast, as Irene, the goddess of peace, with the boy Plutus in her arms, and in pagan Rome as Fortuna and Jupiter. Other cultures embraced this concept, such as Saphirian and India. All right, so you see that because it all came where they were all coming together. That's how it spread out into all these places. That's why you have the same story in each place on earth. You understand? Because this is where it comes from. It says in its origin, it's like in its organized form, false religion began with the Tower of Babel and Nimrod, from which Babylon derives its name. Cain was the first false worshiper, and many individuals after him followed his example. But organized pagan religion began with the descendants of Ham, one of Noah's three sons, who decided to erect a great monument that would reach unto heaven and make themselves a great name under the leadership of the proud and apostate Nimrod. They planned to storm heaven and unify their power and prestige in a great worldwide system of worship. You see that? And that's what you see here in America. They trying to come together under one religion, under one unification, one government, one currency. You understand? And they are trying to do what they did in Babylon. It says that that was man's first counterfeit religion, from which every other false religion is one way or another has sprung. So what he just say was a false religion. That's your Christianity right there, where it comes from. This is where your Christianity comes from, and I'm gonna get into it. It says God's judgment frustrated their primary purpose of making a grand demonstration of humanistic unity. You see that? Now that's heavy right there. He said God's judgment frustrated their primary purpose. What was their primary purpose? Of all coming together as one people to unify and be in one unity against God. It says of making a grand demonstration of humanistic. There's that word, humanist. That's what you hear all day long out there in them streets. You see, you hear, oh, we're all human. We're all one human race. We're all one. We should unify. This is what you hear. And this is what that's talking about. It says, I'll read that again. It says, God's judgment frustrated their primary purpose of making a grand demonstration of humanistic unity. God's judgment frustrated that. How? Because he came down and he separated them and confused their language. He did away with that. By how? By just confusing their language. He did away with that whole rebellion against him by just confusing their language. That's what he did. He frustrated their primary purpose of making a grand demonstration of humanistic That's what you see out here in America. We're all human. We should all come together. That's their whole big thing, right? Humanistic unity by confusing their language, that they may not understand one another's speech, and scattering them abroad from there over the face of the whole earth. The Lord halted the building of the tower and fractured their solidarity. That's heavy. That's heavy because that's what we tell you. That there with the Most High God, there's no one human race. There's no one solidarity. There's no unity. God's chosen people were meant to be above all people. That's segregation. They're cut off from all people. That's what we tell you every day. And all your pagan worship this Christmas that you're doing, of putting that tree, it's all the worship of Nimrod and all these watered down breakoffs of him and his mother, where they were having sex together. You understand? Him, his mother, after he died, his brother started taking over and started having sex with his mother as well. So that's where that whole thing comes from. And she became deified as a goddess. That's where the Virgin Mary comes from. You understand? That's where the Virgin Mary comes from. And it said that it showed her as getting pregnant by a beam of light by her other son Tammuz. And that's what you see in the paintings for the so-called Virgin Mary, is that she was impregnated by a beam of light in Da Vinci's paintings. It's because it's the worship of these same people. You understand? It's the worship of these same people. It's just brought down throughout the ancient times. That's it. All right, reading on. It says, but those people took them the seed of that false, adulterous religion, seed that they and their descendants have been planting throughout the whole world ever since the idea and forms were altered, adapted, and sometimes made more sophisticated, but the basic system remained and remains unchanged. Just to this day, like it says, it remains unchanged, man. You still worship this so-called Virgin Mary who got pregnated by a beam of light, who they say was God, but it was really just Samaris and her son Nimrod, where they was having sex, man. Right? They was having sex. It says, but the basic system remained and remains unchanged. That is why Babylon is called the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth in Revelations. She was the progenitor of all false religions, man. And to this day, that's why it says she is the great whore, because all these false religions and false ways. That's why the scripture says, through thy precepts, I gain understanding, and I hate every false way, man, because we're supposed to understand that this is false, what we're going into, and have this understanding and not reject this knowledge. You understand? So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into. Let's go to because I have a couple more articles, but I don't think I'm gonna have enough time for them. Let's get a few scriptures. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 17. Proverbs 17. And verse 4. Oh, wait, Salaki, wrong one. Proverbs 17 and verse 23. It says, a wicked man taketh a gift out of his bosom to pervert the ways of judgment. Now, this is what happens, man, is that they take this gift from their bosom to pervert the ways of judgment. So you say, oh, we're doing it for the kids. We're doing it for the kids, and this is for the kids. And it's that perverted system, that perverted man who takes this gift of so-called Christmas for the kids and gives it to you so that you can pervert the ways of judgment, of being real, of judging matters correctly. You understand? Of judging these matters correctly. Like, is this in the Bible? Should we be doing this? This is what judgment needs to really be. But you see, oh, the kids are having fun. They're opening up all these gifts, like, and you judge off of that, off of your emotion, instead of what's right. You understand? Instead of judging off of what's right, you go and judge off of your own emotions. You understand? Because this It says a wicked man taketh the gift out of his bosom. He gives you this gift, man, of Christmas, of Thanksgiving, of Easter, and you see your kids having fun and all this, and you want to say, oh, it's for the kids, but really, it's just perverting your judgment on leading your children down the right path, and that path is to the Most High God. You understand? This is what we need to do. Now, let's go to Romans chapter 1. This is the reason why. You understand? Like, you need to judge things. You need to judge matters correctly and see if it's right by God instead of your own feelings, instead of going after your own lust. Like, is this right by God? Doing this Christmas? Did he tell us to do it? Is this right by God by us doing this Thanksgiving? Did he tell us to do it? If it's not, then you should hate every false way. You understand? It says, I'm gonna go to Romans chapter 1, verse 11. It says, for I long to see you, that I may impart unto you some spiritual gift, like the Lord has a spiritual gift to give us. You understand? He has a spiritual gift to give us. It says, to the end ye may be established. You understand? But we don't want that gift. We want, for some reason, the gifts of, that's why that article, like the article said, and Ezekiel said that the Lord showed him that we was doing all these abominable things because we would rather go and search after how they were serving their gods and figure out if we can do that too. We saw Christmas and saw them giving the gifts and putting the tree and decorating the tree and singing Christmas carols, and we wanted to do that too, instead of just sticking to what God gave us. What God gave us, we have real holy days in the Bible. You understand? So let me see here. All right, because this one's kind of long. This that one's kind of long, so I might do this other article here. All right, let me just take a look real quick. All right. So I'm gonna read this article now. All right. It's from the history. It's www.history.com. All right. The history of Christmas. So we know where it started. It started in the pagan customs over there, with Nimrod and his mother, having incest. That's the word I was looking for. Incest. You understand? Now let's read. I'm going to read this article. It says Christmas is celebrated on December 25th and is both a sacred religious holiday and a worldwide culture and commercial phenomenon. That's the big deal, right? Is because that's where their power comes from. Just like Nimrod, man. His mother, when he died, she thought the power was going to be lost. So what she do? She threatened them with death. You understand? If they didn't bring gifts, if they didn't pay their atonement to a so-called God, you understand, and stay in line. And this is what this American government is all about. Is about getting the money from you so that they can stay in power by keeping you still needing their power. Like we read, it says. Sacred religious holidays and a worldwide culture and commercial phenomenon for 2 millennia. People around the world have been observing it with traditions and practices that are both religious and secular in nature. Christians celebrate Christmas Day as the anniversary of the birth of Jesus of Nazareth, a spiritual leader whose teachings from the basis of their religion. Popular customs include exchanging gifts, decorating Christmas trees, attending church, sharing meals with family and friends, and of course, waiting for Santa Claus to arrive December 25th, Christmas Day. Has been a federal holiday since in the United States since 1870. Says, how did Christmas start? says the middle of winter has long been the time of celebration around the world. Centuries before the arrival of the man called Jesus, early European early Europeans celebrated light and birth in the darkest days of winter. Many people rejoiced during the winter solstice when the worst of the winters was behind them, and they could look forward to longer days and extended hours of sun. You understand? So the winter solstice, like the Bible says in Jeremiah 10 and 1, it says, "Don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven. Don't be dismayed at them because they saw the sun getting lighter during this time of year. They were dismayed at it. They were waiting for the times when the sun will come up and be up longer. You understand? For extended hours of sunlight." It says in Scandinavia, the Norse celebrated Yule, the December 21st, the winter solstice, through January, in recognition of the return of the sun. Fathers and sons would bring home large logs which they would set on fire. The people would feast until the log burnt out, which could take as many as 12 days. The Norse believed that each spark from the fire represented a new pig or calf that would be born during the coming year. It says the end of December was a perfect time for celebration in most areas of Europe. At that time of the year, most cattle were slaughtered so they would not have to be fed during the winter. For many, it was the only time of the year when they had a supply of fresh meat. In addition, most wine and beer made during the year was finally fermented and ready for drinking. So they took those that because they had to slaughter the calves, right? And the beer and wine was finally fermented good enough for them to drink. They took that as, you know what, let's celebrate. You understand? In Germany, people honored the pagan god Odin during the midwinter holiday. Germans were terrified of Odin as they believed he made nocturnal flights. Now listen closely. It says they believed he made nocturnal flights through the sky to observe his people and then decided who would prosper or perish. What does that sound like? What does that sound like? What are you doing to your kids, man? You're over there telling them that Santa Claus is flying through the air, seeing if you're naughty or nice. You understand? This is where that comes from. That pagan custom comes from this, that they were scared of Odin because he would make nocturnal flights, meaning fly through the night, through the sky to observe his people and then decide who would prosper or perish because of his presence, and people chose to stay inside. See? So they would think in their head that this so-called God, which is the God you worship today, is Santa Claus, right? That he would fly through the night sky, he would look and see if you were naughty or nice, right? If you were gonna prosper or perish, right? And that's what you tell your kids. If you're naughty or nice, and if you're not good, he's not gonna bring you gifts. If you're good, he's gonna bring you gifts. You understand? That's what you're doing to your children right here. That's what you're doing to your children. It says Saturnalia in Rome, where winter were not as harsh as those in the far north. Saturnalia, a holiday in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture, was celebrated beginning in the week leading up to the winter solstice and continuing for a full month. Saturnalia was a hedonistic time when food and drink were plentiful. So it's the same, right? It's the same. They had food and drink because it was that time of the year. It says, and that's what you do. You understand? You as people, you have food and drink, right? And celebrate these false gods, okay? It says, drink were plentiful, and the normal Roman social order was turned upside down for a month. Slaves would become masters. Peasants were in command of the city. Businesses and schools were closed so that everyone could join in the fun. And that's what they do during Christmas, man, during Thanksgiving, during New Year's, they close down the schools, right? They close down the businesses. They have the food and drink. They celebrate these false gods and these false customs, man, so everybody could have fun. It says also around the time of the winter solstice, Roman observed Juvenalia, a feast honoring the children of Rome. In addition, members of the upper class often celebrated the birthday of Mithra, the god of the unconquerable sun, on December 25th. December 25th. This is the same thing that's going on. It's just gone down through the times, through the ancient of times, man. To the not the ancient, but the times since ancient times. You understand? It says, so that's where it comes, right? For where we start to say, oh, it's for the kids, because this is where that comes from, right here. It says, an infant god was born of a rock. For some Romans, Mithra birthday was the most sacred day of the year, right? Just like I said, wood and stone. We celebrate rocks and wood and trees and stones, man. All right. That's why the scripture says that we worship this wood and stone, man. It says in Christmas, really the day Jesus was born, in the early years of Christianity, Easter was the main holiday. The birth of Jesus was not celebrated. You hear that, Christians? In early Christianity, in the early years of Christianity, Easter was the main holiday. We know Easter is the Passover. You understand? The real translation of Easter is Passover. Okay. It says in early years of Christianity, Easter was the main holiday, the Passover. All right. It says the birth of Jesus was not celebrated. You understand? That's something you came up with. That's something that you as people came up with by following these heathen customs, man. And it's not even the birth of Christ on December 25th. It's the birth of Tammuz. You understand? Semiramin's son, Nimrod's brother. That's what you're celebrating. You understand? That's the person you're celebrating on so-called Christmas Eve. It's not Christ. You understand? This is the God, the so-called God that you're celebrating. It says the birth of Jesus was not celebrated in the 4th century. Church officials decided to institute the birth of Jesus as a holiday. Unfortunately, the Bible does not mention date for his birth. A fact pertains later pointed out in order to deny the legitimacy of the celebration. Although some evidence suggests that his birth may have occurred in the spring. That's when Christ was born. We don't know a specific day, but it was during springtime. It says, why would shepherds be herding in the middle of winter? Common sense, man. When you read these scriptures, you got to use practical knowledge, man. Practical knowledge. The sheep herders would not be herding sheep in the middle of dead winter. They would not have went to the city of David to go pay their taxes in the dead of winter while she's pregnant, man. Come on. That's not what they would have done. You understand? It says Pope Julius, I chose December 25th. It is commonly believed that the church chose this date in an effort to adopt and absorb the traditions of pagan Saturnalia festivals. Man, the worship of Nimrod. They chose that day to make the pagans feel better about adopting Christianity, to come back under this one faith. You understand? It says, first called the Feast of the Nativity, the custom spread to Egypt by 432 and to England by the end of the 6th century. By the end of the 8th century, the celebration of Christmas had spread all the way to Scandinavia. Today, in the Greek and Russian Orthodox churches, Christmas is celebrated 13 to 14 days after the 25th. So look, it says this is because Western churches use the Gregorian calendar, while Eastern churches use the Julian calendar, which is the 13 to the 14 days behind the Gregorian calendar. Both Western and Eastern churches celebrate Epiphany or Three Kings Day, 12 days after their own respective Christmases. This is the day it is believed that the three wise men finally found Jesus in the manger. By holding Christmas at the same time was traditional winter solstice festival, church leaders increased the chances that Christmas would be popularly embraced, but give up the ability to dictate how it was celebrated. By the Middle Ages, Christianity had for the most part replaced pagan religion on Christmas. Believers attended church, then celebrated raciously in drunken carnival-like atmosphere similar to today's Mardi Gras each year, and beggar or student would be crowned the Lord of Misrule. The eager celebrants played the part of his subject. The poor would go to the house of the rich and demand their best food and drink. If owners failed to comply, their visitors would most likely terrorize them with mischief. Christmas became the time of year when the upper class could repay their real or imagined debts to society by entertaining less fortunate citizens. Man, that's where Christmas comes from, man. That's where all of that comes from. All right, so I'm coming up on the time. I have a couple more articles, but I ain't gonna have time for it. I might have to do it on another day. Just want to get one more, maybe two more scriptures. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 27. It says, "For the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil," man. Like, it's the beginning of evil, it's the cause of evil, and the end of all evil, man. By worshiping these false idols out here. But if you're gonna have a Christmas tree in your house this year, if you have one right now, it's the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil, man. By worshiping another God. Now let's go to Joshua. Joshua 24 and verse 15, and I'm going to clip the class with this. It's a heavy scripture, and I love this scripture so much, man. It says, Joshua chapter 24, verse 15, it says, "And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood." Which gods were that? The gods of Egypt, man, which came from Babylon, celebrating those pagan customs. You understand? Those were the gods on the other side of the flood. It says, "Whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwelt. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord," man. There ain't gonna be no Christmas tree in my house. There ain't gonna be no Christmas tree, no worshiping of no Virgin Mary, no pagan customs at all, no Easter, no Thanksgiving, no white Jesus on my walls. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, man. All right. So that's the history of where Christmas, and there's a lot more. Like I said, I have a lot more articles here, but for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. You know what I'm saying? And of course, a whole lot more scriptures that can be brought out for this topic. But right now, like I said, I'm gonna cut the class Monday through Friday, starting at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Come on down to your city, the class in your city. Go to isubk.com. Go find a class that's near your city or in your city and go there, man. It's free. Come on down, start learning this truth. Start accepting this knowledge. Like it says in Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for a lack of this knowledge. And because you reject knowledge, the Lord's going to reject you. So stop rejecting this knowledge. Come on down to the class. It's free, man. Just come on down, start learning. You understand? Commanding General Yohana show every Monday night on YouTube. Go to YouTube, go search it. It's called Black Watch. Go search it up. Go like, share, and subscribe. And like I said, press the notification bell so you can get notified when he goes live. Right? Press the notification bell on all these classes so you can be tuned in every time a class comes on live, and you can learn, all day. You know what I'm saying? So with that, also Cross the Line Radio every Thursday is going to come on tonight. Should be starting at 10 p.m. Eastern time. You know what I'm saying? Tune in. Call up if you have questions. You know what I'm saying? Also Saturday we have the Sabbath service in the class in your city. Come on down. It's always free. Like I said, come on down. Come celebrate. The real holy days in the Bible, which one is the Sabbath service. You understand? And pay your tithes at isbk.com. And with that being said, shalom.